Hey guys, welcome to PB Garage. Today we're going to try and diagnose a weird noise that this thing's been making. This is my Mk5 rabbit, and who knows, maybe we'll even try and fix it. The world's our oyster. Anything could happen. Let's check it out. All right, so just before I fire this thing up, I will let you guys know that I've been driving the car and I could tell that the noise, it's a squeaking noise, and I could tell that it's related to engine speed. So if you're stopped and parked somewhere, you can hear it increase and decrease its frequency based on how fast the engine's turning. So if you rev up, it squeaks more rapidly. If you let it go to idle, it squeaks more slowly. And basically that tells me that it's something to do with the engine, probably something to do with the serpentine belt because of the way that it sounds. But I'll start the car up so you guys can hear it as well. So I don't know if you guys can hear that. Hopefully you can. Actually, what I'll do is I'll drop my microphone down right next to the serpentine belt there so that you guys can hear it. So there you have it. Hopefully you guys can hear that. And I'll shut the car off. All right, so luckily that noise is pretty clear. It's coming from the serpentine belt, so it's coming from driver's right-hand side of the car, right by where the alternator is. If you look down in the engine bay here, I can show you guys. All right, so if we have a look down in here where the noise is coming from, this is where our serpentine belt is on the right-hand side of the motor. And there's another little hint. If you have a look at that belt, you can see that serpentine belt is just coming apart real quick. So that tells me, in fact, quite a bit of it is missing. And even we can see like there's some rubber built up here. So we know that it's an issue with that serpentine belt or one of the pulleys. And the only way to know for sure what's going on is we're actually gonna have to pop that serpentine belt off. And then once that belt is off, we'll turn all the pulleys over by hand and see what's sounding terrible or what's got a lot of resistance to turning. And hopefully we can identify exactly what the issue is. All right, so in order to get our belts off here, you can see we've got our air conditioner belt here, it's still in good shape, and then our alternator serpentine belt here, it's falling apart. What we have to do, unfortunately, to get that belt off is first we have to take our AC belt off. So we're under the car here, we've got the belly pan off the car, which is kind of a permanent feature of this particular rabbit. And just up here, you can see we've got a tensioner here. So I've got a 15mm wrench, and I'm just gonna get that guy onto the head of that bolt right there, and I'm gonna push that tensioner towards the back of the car. So I'm gonna swing it back towards the back of the car. That'll relieve the tension on the belt here, and that'll allow me to take my AC belt off. Okay? Now you'll have to bear with me here while I try and do this with two hands. So you can see I've got my tensioner back, and now the belt is loose and I can just slip it off. All right, so that's one belt removed. Now the tensioner for the second belt is a little bit trickier. We're gonna get at it from the top of the motor. All right, so our second tensioner for the serpentine belt on the alternator is actually not this guy, this is an idler wheel, but this guy down here. So that nut that I'm just on there, I'm gonna get on it with my wrench again, and then I'm gonna push the wrench towards the front of the car. So I'll end up turning it in this direction, and that'll relieve the tension on that guy and let me take that belt off. Now this one's a little bit trickier. It's pretty tight in here, so I'm gonna have to put the camera down, but I'll catch up with you guys as soon as I get that belt off. All right, so now that we've got that belt off, we can see it was really on its last legs, which is too bad. But now the thing to do is get in here, and we've got to check all our pulleys. Now we've got this idler pulley here at the top. It spins okay. It's got a bit of play though. It's not great. We can get down here and check our alternator. It seems to be spinning okay. We can check our water pump back in here. And it's tough, you know, we're tight for space here, but we can check. Doesn't feel loose, doesn't feel like it's got too much play in it. There's the pulley on the tensioner, which is just a bit further down in here. And it's spinning okay. It's not, again, not great. So now we've got this idler pulley here that's at the front of the motor. And right from the start, I'll try and get my microphone down there. But right from the start, it's making quite a bit more noise and it doesn't spin freely. It stops spinning after a little bit. You guys can hear, maybe see just how bad that pulley is. Now, just to show you guys, I do have a spare motor here. So luckily, I can show you guys just what that looks like out of the car. So right here, this is what we're looking at. So we've got this tensioner here, idler, this is that bigger idler in the front, water pump and alternator. We've checked all of those. These two weren't great, and this one was actually really bad. Now, I kind of made a mistake because when I ordered parts, I ordered a replacement tensioner and this idler, and I didn't think to order this idler, so I'm actually don't have a spare one of these, and that's the one that's really bad. So I think what I might end up doing is just pulling that one off this motor, checking it, like I'll take the belt off and check it, and then if it's okay, I'll put it on just for the time being so I don't shred another new belt until I can get a new part in. But I'm gonna still replace both of these on the motor that's in the car. So these are my brand new parts from Gates. Now you can see to get this tensioner off, we're gonna get in here with a triple square on this guy and just remove that bolt, remove the old tensioner, put the new tensioner in. On the idler here, there's 3 Torx bolts just on this little flap here that hold it on to the motor. And that other idler pulley that's just here, we can see that it's got a Torx in the middle of it as well. So I'm gonna pull that guy off. Maybe what I'll do is I'll just show you guys on this spare motor, the removal process, because it's gonna be really difficult for me to film that in the car. So I'll do that. I'll start by removing this belt. Man, this AC belt tensioner is so seized. But there we go. So there's our AC belt off. That tensioner not even doing anything. And then this guy here, we're gonna go to the front of the car. Second belt off. Now for this tensioner, I'm just getting in here with a T30 Torx, trying to make sure that I can get good contact with those bolts. Obviously this is going to be much more difficult to do in the car. And there you go. There's that one idler pulley. That's what we're gonna do in the car as well. But for now, I'm just showing you off the car while we can see it. And then I've got to get in with a triple square. It looks like it's probably gonna be an M10 triple square for this guy. Try and make sure you got good contact before you try to take that bolt out. And that's it for taking out that tensioner, just that one bolt. Truth be told, this one doesn't spin a lot better than the other one, but it is marginally better. So it'll have to do for now. Maybe what I'll do is I'll put on this extra Serpentine belt so I don't shred my new one. Now I'm in here, I want to say this is a T45. I'm using a T40 because that bolt's corroded. Maybe it is a T40. But that's it for that guy. You can see it's just a simple bearing and it's a little cup. This guy I've got to fix. So that's how you remove them. Obviously installation is reversal removal. This motor's not going anywhere, don't worry. All right, well, we made it. It was really tight to get in to service all of that stuff. As you can see, I got all my old pieces off. I've got my tensioner here, the old tensioner, that front idler pulley. And what I ended up doing for the idler pulley, just to make my life a little bit easier, was I removed the pulley right here with that nut. It's a 16mm nut. I removed that from the bracket just so I had better access to those 3 bolts there, and replaced that with the new Gates one. Now it was really tight to have access to all of that stuff, so I am gonna make a couple little notes about the tools for you guys. You know, obviously, like even getting a belt on was a pain in the ass because it was so close to the chassis, but I'll show you guys if we have a look here. So this is pretty much the collection of tools I ended up using. So I've got a 15mm wrench, that's for the tensioners, and I have an assortment of T30s and T40s, so bits, and you can see here, this is for that front pulley. I had to use a bit in a wrench here just to be able to get enough access because it is really tight in there. And I'd say, you know, if you don't have one of these stubby M10 triple squares, that tensioner is gonna be a real pain in the ass. So yeah, basically these are the tools that I ended up using. M10 triple square stubby for sure, and actually that bolt was really difficult because the old one came out real easy by hand once I got it started, but the new one, to feed it in by hand, was real tricky, and it was tough to get even the stubby with a ratchet, almost impossible to get it in there until the bolt was threaded most of the way in. So make sure you have, you know, some stubby tools. What I really would have liked to have had is some T30 and T40 stubby bits like this to get at the bolts for that bracket with the upper idler pulley, and to get at the bolt that holds that front idler pulley as well. So there you have it. You can see I've got my new stuff in there, new belt I ended up using as well, and I'm gonna order the front idler pulley there and replace that guy as soon as it comes in. I'm not looking forward to doing that job, but we'll get it done as well. And right now we'll start the car up and see if we've been successful in our repair, if this pulley here was the one making all the noise, okay? We'll just wait for that cold start high idle to settle down there in a second. But already it sounds way better. And now I'll just drop my microphone in there like I did before. Everything in there now sounding pretty quiet. But there you have it, guys. I think we can call that a job well done. And if you guys are having the same kind of noises coming out of your 2.5, and I mean it really applies to a lot of the different engines, specifically we were looking at the 2.5 today. If you're getting those kinds of noises, check your Serpentine belt, remove that belt, check all those pulleys. I'm sure you'll find something that's loose or has a lot of drag when it's spinning, doesn't spin nicely. That way you know what part to order, or just order everything. They're not super expensive if you go somewhere cheap online. Try and get good quality parts though. I like the Gates stuff. They've always been really reliable for me. So get good parts, replace all that stuff, new Serpentine belts, and you're set. Have a good one, guys. We'll see you later.